The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. You live in a world governed by two types of games, finite and infinite. In a finite game, the rules are set, the players are known, and the objective is clear. Win. You see this in sports, board games, or even short-term business strategies. In infinite games, however, the players change, the rules evolve, and the objective is not to win but to continue playing. Life, business, relationships, and global progress all fall under the realm of the infinite game. Simon Sinek's The Infinite Game challenges you to rethink your approach to leadership, strategy, and vision by adopting an infinite mindset. This book is not about strategies for short-term victories or quick wins. It's about building resilience, adaptability, and a sense of purpose that outlasts any immediate triumph. The concepts outlined here are transformative for those willing to abandon the illusion of control over outcomes and embrace the responsibility of steering their organizations, teams, or personal lives toward lasting impact. The infinite game isn't easy, but it's the only one worth playing. Lesson 1. Choose purpose. Your first task in playing the infinite game is to identify your just cause, the unyielding and transformative reason for your existence as a leader, an organization, or even an individual striving for meaning. A just cause is not a slogan or a hollow mission statement. It is a profound and unwavering commitment to something bigger than profit, status, or personal gain. It is the North Star that guides you and inspires others to join, persevere, and even sacrifice for the mission. Simon Sinek emphasizes this with the example of Apple under Steve Jobs, a company defined not by the devices it sold, but by the just cause of empowering individuals through user-friendly technology. Apple wasn't just making computers, it was revolutionizing how people interacted with the world and unlocking human creativity. This wasn't a strategy to win market share. It was a vision so compelling that it drew employees, customers, and even competitors into its gravitational pull. Without such a cause, an organization flounders, losing its resilience and direction under the pressures of competition and change. Contrast this with companies that lose sight of their purpose, focusing only on quarterly earnings or short-term wins. Blockbuster, for instance, was so obsessed with maintaining its rental revenue that it ignored the shift to digital streaming, even as Netflix embraced a vision of making entertainment more accessible. Blockbuster lacked a just cause. It was tied to an outdated model, driven by finite goals and unwilling to adapt. Similarly, Enron's collapse serves as a cautionary tale of what happens when greed and short-term gains eclipse any meaningful purpose. When an organization prioritizes profit over principles, its foundation inevitably crumbles under pressure. History, too, offers powerful examples of how a just cause galvanized movements and changes the course of society. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't inspire millions with spreadsheets or tactical plans. He spoke of a dream, a world of equality, justice, and freedom. His just cause wasn't about winning a single battle in the civil rights movement. It was about igniting a generational commitment to an ideal that transcended time and place. King's vision endured because it resonated deeply with universal human values. Compare this to leaders who promise quick fixes or transactional gains. They fail to capture hearts and minds because their goals lack depth and authenticity. Another example is Patagonia, the outdoor clothing company that has built its entire existence around a just cause of environmental sustainability. This commitment isn't mere branding. It permeates everything the company does, from sourcing materials to encouraging customers to repair old gear instead of buying new products. This unwavering dedication has cultivated a loyal community of customers and employees who see themselves as part of a larger mission. Contrast this with fast fashion brands that prioritize cheap production and fleeting trends, leaving environmental devastation in their wake. Patagonia thrives not because it competes better, but because it doesn't see itself as competing at all. Its cause defines its actions, and its actions inspire devotion. Choosing a just cause is not a one-time decision, but a continuous process of self-examination and alignment. It demands clarity, courage, and the discipline to prioritize meaning over convenience. It requires you to ask yourself, what am I willing to fight for, even if it costs me? Your just cause must be so clear and compelling that it can be explained to a 10-year-old in simple, unequivocal terms. If it feels too abstract or self-serving, it's not a just cause, it's a gimmick. The essence of a just cause is its ability to unite people across backgrounds, roles, and generations in pursuit of something enduring and transformative. When you choose your just cause, you lay the foundation for leadership that withstands adversity and inspires action. You shift from competing in a finite game of winners and losers to advancing a mission that transcends individual or organizational gain. This is not merely about motivation. It is about survival in an infinite game where the rules constantly evolve, and only those with an unshakable sense of purpose can adapt and thrive. Commit to a cause that matters, not just to you, but to the world around you. Define it, live it, and let it shape every decision and action you take. Your purpose is your greatest asset. Without it, you are directionless. Never settle for short-term thinking when the infinite game demands long-term vision and conviction. Lesson 2. Build trust. Trust is not an abstract feeling. It is the concrete result of consistent actions, unflinching honesty, and the willingness to sacrifice for others. It is built slowly, over time, through repeated demonstrations of reliability and integrity, and it can be destroyed in an instant by selfishness, dishonesty, or betrayal. Sinek underscores this with the example of the U.S. Navy SEALs, a group that operates in some of the most extreme and high-stakes environments imaginable. In the SEALs, trust takes precedence over competence. A SEAL team will choose to work with someone they trust implicitly over someone who is technically superior, but unreliable under pressure. This is because in life-or-death scenarios, competence alone is insufficient. What matters most is knowing that the person beside you will never falter in their commitment to the team's mission and well-being. In your organization or team, trust functions the same way. It is the invisible glue that holds people together during adversity and uncertainty. Without trust, collaboration deteriorates into competition, and individuals prioritize self-preservation over collective success. Toxic work environments often exemplify this. In such environments, leaders are quick to deflect blame, employees feel undervalued, and colleagues see one another as obstacles rather than allies. This erosion of trust creates a downward spiral of disengagement and resentment. Contrast this with companies like Pixar, where a culture of trust empowers teams to openly share ideas, critique each other's work, and innovate without fear of judgment or reprisal. Pixar thrives because its leaders foster an environment where everyone feels valued and safe to take creative risks. Trust isn't just a nice-to-have. It's the bedrock of sustained performance. History provides striking examples of how trust, or the lack of it, shapes outcomes. Consider the Apollo 13 mission, where trust among NASA engineers and astronauts turned a near catastrophe into a triumphant example of teamwork under pressure. The team's ability to rely on one another, communicate openly, and act decisively in the face of adversity saved lives and reinforced NASA's legacy of excellence. Compare this to the Challenger disaster, where trust was compromised by miscommunication, suppressed dissent, and leadership's prioritization of deadlines over safety. The stark contrast between these two events underscores the critical role trust plays in success and failure, particularly when the stakes are high. To build trust, you must lead by example. Leadership isn't about issuing orders or claiming credit. It's about demonstrating accountability, humility, and genuine concern for others. A leader who takes responsibility for failures and deflects praise to the team sends a powerful message that they are committed to the group's well-being. Such leaders inspire loyalty and create environments where people feel empowered to contribute their best. Conversely, leaders who place their interests above the team's, who blame others for setbacks, or who fail to deliver on promises will quickly erode trust and morale. Your actions as a leader set the tone for your organization, and every decision you make either strengthens or weakens the trust others place in you. Psychologist Brené Brown highlights the concept of vulnerability as an essential component of trust. In her research, she found that teams that thrive are those where individuals feel safe enough to admit mistakes, ask for help, and voice their opinions without fear of retribution. Vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness, it's a prerequisite for authentic connections. When you, as a leader, model vulnerability by admitting when you're wrong or seeking input from others, you create a culture where trust can flourish. This is not about oversharing or losing authority. It's about showing that you are human and genuinely invested in the team's success. Trust is fragile and must never be taken for granted. It requires daily maintenance through your words, actions, and decisions. You must show up consistently, act with integrity, and prioritize the collective good over personal gain. Trust cannot be faked, and it cannot be demanded. It must be earned. In an infinite game, where the goal is to endure and adapt over time, trust is the single most important currency. Without it, you will struggle to inspire, collaborate, or lead effectively. Commit to building trust at every opportunity and guard it fiercely. Once lost, it is nearly impossible to regain. In everything you do, ask yourself, are my actions today building or breaking trust? The answer will define your ability to succeed, not just in the moment, but for the long haul. Lesson 3. Embrace courage. Courage is the most vital quality in the infinite game because it compels you to act on your values even when doing so comes at a cost. It is not about fearlessness, but about the willingness to stand firm in the face of fear, uncertainty, and criticism. Sinek illustrates this through C.VS Pharmacy's groundbreaking decision to stop selling cigarettes, a move that shocked the retail and pharmaceutical industry. This decision, which cost the company an estimated $2 billion in annual revenue, was a clear alignment with CVS's mission to promote health and wellness. Critics were quick to deride the choice as impractical, but C.VS demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to its purpose. In the long term, the move reinforced its credibility and positioned it as a leader in public health, proving that principled decisions, while challenging, often lead to lasting respect and influence. Contrast this with companies that loudly proclaim values they fail to uphold. Think of organizations that preach sustainability while engaging in exploitative practices, or leaders who promise transparency but conceal critical information from stakeholders. These contradictions erode trust and tarnish reputations, exposing the hollowness of their stated principles. Courage is the antidote to this hypocrisy. It is what allows you to act with integrity even when external pressures tempt you to compromise. Without courage, your values become mere rhetoric, easily abandoned in the pursuit of short-term convenience or profit. History offers powerful lessons in the necessity of courage. During the Civil Rights Movement, Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat on a segregated bus wasn't just an act of defiance. It was an act of immense courage rooted in her belief in equality and justice. Parks faced immediate personal repercussions: arrest, threats, and societal backlash. But her courage ignited a movement that fundamentally changed the fabric of American society. Compare her bravery to the complacency of those who, though sympathetic to her cause, chose to remain silent out of fear. Courage demands action, not just agreement. It calls you to take risks that might not benefit you directly, but that serve a higher purpose. You see this same dynamic in organizations that make courageous choices to challenge the status quo. Patagonia, for instance, has repeatedly taken bold stands on environmental issues, even to the detriment of short-term profits. By dedicating a significant portion of its profits to environmental initiatives and refusing to align with practices that harm the planet. Patagonia has shown that courage in business isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving while staying true to your principles. This stands in stark contrast to companies that prioritize immediate gains over ethical responsibility, ultimately sacrificing long-term respect for fleeting victories. Courage is also deeply personal, requiring you to confront your own doubts and fears. It's easy to take the safe route, to conform, or to remain silent in the face of conflict. Yet growth and progress demand discomfort. Leadership, whether in your career or your personal life, is a test of your willingness to make hard decisions that align with your values. It may mean standing up to a boss who pushes unethical practices, walking away from a lucrative but morally compromising opportunity, or taking a stand in support of an unpopular cause. Courage is not about being reckless or combative. It's about being resolute when faced with choices that test your integrity. Courage also means accepting that you might lose in the short term. Sinek reminds you that the infinite game is not about immediate results, but about staying true to your purpose over time. Courageous decisions may result in financial losses, criticism, or even isolation in the moment. But they set the foundation for a legacy of authenticity and trust. Compare this to those who prioritize expedience, sacrificing values for a quick win. They may succeed temporarily, but fail to endure. To embrace courage, you must first define what you stand for, and then resolve to act on those principles, regardless of the immediate consequences. You cannot wait for ideal conditions or universal approval. Courage is forged in the moments when it feels hardest to act. Ask yourself, what principles am I willing to defend, no matter the cost? The answer to this question will define your ability to lead with integrity, inspire others, and endure in the infinite game. In every decision you face, choose courage over comfort. True leadership demands nothing less. Lesson 4. Reject finite thinking. Finite thinking traps you in a cycle of short-term goals, competition, and arbitrary metrics that distract from the bigger picture. It's the mindset of winning at all costs, measuring success through isolated victories, and prioritizing immediate gratification over sustained growth. Simon Sinek points to Blockbuster as a cautionary tale of finite thinking. Blockbuster, once a dominant force in the home video rental market, was so focused on maximizing short-term profitability that it ignored the growing threat of Netflix's streaming model. When Netflix proposed a partnership to bring digital rentals into the mainstream, Blockbuster dismissed the idea as a distraction from its lucrative late fees. That decision, born of short-sightedness and an unwillingness to adapt, marked the beginning of Blockbuster's downfall. In clinging to finite thinking, it lost the chance to play the infinite game and ultimately vanished as Netflix thrived. Infinite players approach the game differently. They prioritize adaptability, resilience, and long-term impact over immediate victories. Amazon exemplifies this mindset by constantly reinvesting in innovation and customer satisfaction rather than obsessing over quarterly profits. Jeff Bezos famously explained that Amazon's strategy focuses on what won't change. Customers will always want low prices, fast delivery, and a vast selection. By focusing on these enduring principles instead of battling competitors directly, Amazon has positioned itself not to win, but to endure. The infinite player asks, "How can I build something that lasts?" rather than, "How can I win today?" History offers another stark contrast between finite and infinite thinking. In the 60s, the US and the Soviet Union were locked in a finite race to dominate space exploration. The Soviets initially led the race with groundbreaking achievements, like launching the first satellite and sending the first human into orbit. The US, however, adopted a broader vision, defining its goal not as incremental victories, but as landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. This mission, driven by a clear and compelling purpose, transcended the immediate milestones of competition. The Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969 wasn't just a finite triumph. It was a leap for humanity that inspired future generations and advanced technology for decades to come. When you think infinitely, your focus shifts from outdoing others to contributing meaningfully to the larger game. Finite thinking often emerges from fear of losing, fear of falling behind, fear of uncertainty. This mindset creates toxic environments where people measure success by arbitrary benchmarks and compete to outshine their peers. Employees work to beat the numbers rather than to innovate or create value. And leaders become obsessed with outperforming rivals rather than building lasting legacies. The irony is that this obsession with finite victories often leads to stagnation, burnout, and irrelevance. Infinite players, by contrast, embrace uncertainty and focus on progress over time. They recognize that true success is about becoming better than yesterday, not better than someone else. To reject finite thinking, you must stop defining success through comparisons or fixed endpoints. Your goal is not to defeat competitors, but to continually evolve and improve. This means letting go of metrics that incentivize short-term wins at the expense of long-term growth. Consider the example of Toyota, a company known for its commitment to quality and continuous improvement through the Kaizen philosophy. Toyota doesn't aim to build cars that are merely better than its competitors. It strives to build cars that are better for its customers and the planet. This approach has enabled Toyota to adapt to changing market demands and remain a leader in the automotive industry for decades. Rejecting finite thinking also requires embracing failure as a necessary part of the infinite game. Every setback becomes an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. Finite players see failure as an end point, while infinite players see it as a stepping stone. When you stop fearing failure and start viewing it as a chance to recalibrate, you unlock the resilience needed to endure over time. To play the infinite game, abandon the toxic habit of comparing yourself to others. Your objective isn't to outperform, it's to outlast. Define success on your terms, grounded in values and purpose, and measure progress by your ability to adapt and make meaningful contributions. Shift your focus from being better than someone else to being better than you were yesterday. Progress, not victory, is the hallmark of the infinite player. Let go of finite thinking and commit to a path of growth, resilience, and enduring impact. Lesson 5. Advance together. No one can play the infinite game alone. Success in an infinite context demands partnerships, collaboration, and the collective strength of a team united by shared purpose. Simon Sinek illustrates this truth with the story of the Wright brothers, pioneers of powered flight. Orville and Wilbur Wright achieved their groundbreaking success not because they had superior resources, far from it, but because they cultivated a team deeply committed to their vision. Their success wasn't about individual brilliance. It was about shared sacrifice, trust, and the unrelenting pursuit of a cause. Contrast this with Samuel Langley, who had significant funding and institutional support, yet failed to make aviation history. Langley's approach was driven by personal ambition and a desire for recognition, leading to a fractured effort that lacked the cohesive commitment of a unified team. The Wright brothers' victory underscores a vital truth. Advancing together is not just preferable. It's essential. Collaboration in the infinite game goes beyond simply working with others. It's about building alliances grounded in shared values and mutual respect. Partnerships that thrive in the infinite game are not transactional. They are transformational. They endure because they are built on trust, aligned goals, and a recognition that advancing the cause is more important than claiming individual credit. History offers countless examples of this principle. Consider the Allied forces during World War II, where nations with differing cultures and interests came together to overcome a common threat. Their collaboration wasn't without conflict or compromise, but their shared commitment to defeating tyranny enabled them to achieve what no single nation could have accomplished alone. The lesson is clear. Progress is amplified when individuals and organizations unite around a purpose greater than themselves. Advancing together requires humility. You must recognize that your success is intertwined with the contributions of others. Leaders who claim sole credit for achievements or refuse to acknowledge the value of their teams erode trust and stifle progress. The best leaders actively share credit, empower their teams, and create environments where collaboration thrives. Pixar, a company renowned for its culture of creativity, exemplifies this approach. At Pixar, directors and animators work collaboratively, engaging in candid feedback sessions known as brain trust meetings. These meetings are not about hierarchy or individual accolades, but about refining ideas through collective input. This culture of openness and shared ownership has resulted in some of the most iconic films of all time, proving that advancing together unlocks unparalleled creativity and innovation. The infinite game also demands that you surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow. This requires more than seeking allies who agree with you. It means engaging with those who push you to think differently, question assumptions, and refine your vision. In Good to Great by Jim Collins, the concept of getting the right people on the bus speaks directly to this idea. Surrounding yourself with the right team isn't just about technical skills, it's about finding those who share your values and commitment to the mission. These individuals amplify your impact and help you navigate the challenges of the infinite game. The danger of failing to embrace collaboration is isolation. Ego-driven approaches, like Langley's, inevitably lead to burnout, frustration, and failure. When you prioritize personal glory over collective progress, you alienate potential allies and diminish your ability to adapt and endure. Collaboration is not a concession, it is a competitive advantage. By pooling resources, sharing ideas, and aligning efforts, you create exponential value that far surpasses what any individual can achieve alone. To advance together, you must actively foster a culture of collaboration. This starts with clear communication of your purpose and values, which act as a magnet to attract like-minded individuals and organizations. You must also practice generosity, sharing credit, and celebrating the contributions of others. True collaboration isn't about suppressing individuality. It's about harnessing diverse perspectives to achieve a unified goal. In doing so, you not only build stronger partnerships, but also create a legacy of shared success. The infinite game rewards those who understand that the journey is not a solo endeavor. Embrace collaboration as a cornerstone of your strategy. Share credit freely. Seek out partners who challenge and inspire you, and prioritize advancing the cause over personal recognition. The strength of your team will determine the depth of your impact and the longevity of your efforts. In every action, remember, the path forward is one you walk together. Lesson 6. Lead with vision. Leadership in the infinite game transcends power, authority, and titles. It is about serving a cause so compelling and enduring that it inspires others to commit their time, energy, and creativity to carry it forward. Sinek points to leaders like Nelson Mandela, whose unwavering dedication to reconciliation and justice created a legacy that endured far beyond his presidency. Mandela understood that leadership was not about consolidating personal power, but about empowering others to believe in and work toward a shared vision. His willingness to prioritize the greater good over his own comfort or political gain, exemplified by his efforts to unify a deeply divided South Africa, stands as a testament to the transformative power of visionary leadership. Visionary leaders are distinguished by their ability to provide clarity, consistency, and inspiration. They do not succumb to the short-sighted allure of temporary victories or personal accolades. Instead, they focus on building a foundation for progress that outlasts their own tenure. This is where they differ from leaders who prioritize re-election, quarterly profits, or fleeting popularity. Short-sighted leaders often make decisions based on immediate pressures, sacrificing long-term stability and impact for the sake of expediency. These decisions may yield momentary success, but ultimately leave organizations and societies vulnerable to stagnation or collapse. The distinction between vision-driven and power-driven leadership is not confined to politics. It is evident in business, history, and even art. Consider Walt Disney, who led not with the ambition of dominating the entertainment industry, but with a vision of creating experiences that brought joy and wonder to people of all ages. Disney's commitment to his vision led to innovations like feature-length animated films, theme parks, and a brand synonymous with imagination and storytelling. His leadership legacy persists because it was rooted in a cause that transcended profit and prioritized creating something meaningful and enduring. Contrast this with the story of Kodak, a company that failed to lead with vision and instead clung to outdated business models. Kodak's leadership had the foresight to develop digital photography, but lacked the courage to embrace it fully, fearing it would disrupt their profitable film business. Their reluctance to lead with vision allowed competitors to seize the digital revolution, and Kodak's dominance in the industry evaporated. This failure to prioritize the future over the present underscores the danger of leadership, driven by fear and inertia rather than vision and purpose. To lead with a vision, you must first understand that leadership is an act of service. Your role is not to command, but to inspire. This begins with articulating a clear and compelling vision that aligns with your values and resonates with others. A vision without clarity becomes a distraction, while a vision rooted in authenticity becomes a rallying cry. Your vision must also be consistent. It cannot shift with the winds of convenience or popularity. Consistency builds trust and provides your team or organization with the stability needed to navigate the challenges of the infinite game. Leadership rooted in service also requires humility. Visionary leaders recognize that their role is to guide and empower others, not to accumulate credit or control. Mahatma Gandhi exemplified this by leading the Indian independence movement not through force, but by galvanizing millions around the principles of nonviolence and self-determination. Gandhi's leadership endured because it was never about him. It was about the cause he served. Similarly, your leadership must focus on elevating those around you and creating the conditions for their success. Visionary leadership is not easy. It demands resilience, the courage to make unpopular decisions, and the patience to see results that may not manifest for years. It also requires a willingness to plant seeds you may never personally harvest. But the rewards of this approach, both for the cause you serve and the legacy you leave, are immeasurable. Visionary leaders endure because they invest in the future, creating pathways for growth and progress that transcend their own involvement. If you want to lead, you must first serve. Define your vision with clarity, pursue it with consistency, and inspire others to join you in advancing it. Reject the temptation to prioritize personal gain or immediate outcomes, and commit to building something that endures. The measure of your leadership will not be in the power you hold, but in the impact you create and the lives you inspire. Lead with vision, and you will not just play the infinite game, you will help shape its future. Lesson 7. Redefine success. Success in the infinite game demands a shift in perspective. It cannot be confined to milestones, trophies, or fleeting achievements. Instead, it is measured by your ability to keep playing, adapting, and advancing your purpose over time. Simon Sinek challenges you to let go of finite metrics that distort your priorities and focus on the deeper, more enduring markers of success. Companies like Toyota exemplify this mindset by investing in quality, innovation, and long-term reliability. Toyota doesn't chase trends or measure its success solely by short-term profits. Instead, it commits to continuous improvement and sustainability. This philosophy has allowed Toyota to weather market changes and remain a leader in the automotive industry for decades. Success, in this sense, is not a fixed point. It is a living process that evolves as your purpose and context evolve. Compare this with organizations that prioritize flash-in-the-pan products or quarterly earnings at the expense of their long-term viability. Kodak, once an icon of photography, provides a stark example of this misstep. By focusing on protecting its existing revenue streams instead of adapting to the rise of digital technology, Kodak defined success too narrowly. The company celebrated past milestones while ignoring the necessity of evolving with the industry. This finite thinking led to its eventual collapse, a cautionary tale for anyone who confuses temporary wins with sustainable success. Redefining success requires you to shift your focus from external validation to internal alignment with your just cause. Milestones and accolades can motivate you in the short term, but they are insufficient for the infinite game. Real success lies in impact, adaptability, and resilience. Think of companies like Patagonia, which has consistently prioritized environmental responsibility over maximizing profits, by aligning its definition of success with its purpose. Patagonia has cultivated a loyal customer base and influenced an entire industry to reconsider its practices. The company's success isn't about outperforming competitors. It's about advancing its mission to protect the planet, one product and one initiative at a time. This principle extends beyond business into personal and historical contexts. Consider Vincent van Gogh, whose work redefined art but was barely recognized during his lifetime. Van Gogh's success wasn't in his sales, he sold only a handful of paintings, but in his commitment to his vision and the enduring influence his work has had on generations of artists and viewers. His life reminds you that success isn't always immediate or measurable in conventional terms. It is the impact you make, often unseen in your lifetime, that defines your legacy in the infinite game. To redefine success, you must also embrace failure as a vital part of the journey. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a prerequisite for growth and adaptability. Infinite players view setbacks as opportunities to learn, recalibrate, and strengthen their resilience. When you stop fearing failure and start valuing the lessons it offers, you free yourself to take the risks necessary for meaningful progress. This mindset contrasts sharply with finite players, who see failure as an endpoint and avoid risk to protect their fragile perception of success. Success in the infinite game is also about creating systems and structures that endure beyond your involvement. Leaders like Nelson Mandela and institutions like the Apollo program exemplify this approach. Mandela's efforts to promote reconciliation and justice in South Africa didn't end with his presidency. They set the stage for a nation to continue grappling with and striving toward his vision. Similarly, the Apollo program didn't stop with the moon landing. It inspired decades of scientific exploration and technological advancement, proving that success is measured by the ripple effects of your actions, not the moments themselves. Every day you continue working toward your just cause is a victory in the infinite game. It doesn't matter if your progress is small or if the road ahead seems endless. What matters is your commitment to the journey. Stop chasing numbers, titles, or accolades, and start chasing meaning. Define your success by the lives you impact, the progress you enable, and the values you uphold. The infinite game doesn't reward the loudest players. It rewards those who persist, adapt, and contribute to something greater than themselves. Success is not a destination. It is the ability to keep moving forward with purpose. Conclusion. The infinite game requires you to abandon the illusion of winning and embrace the enduring challenge of progress. Your purpose, trust, courage, adaptability, collaboration, and vision are your tools for navigating the complexities of infinite leadership. Sinek's insights resonate with the timeless principles of Jim Collins' Good to Great and Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, reinforcing the importance of purpose-driven action in life and business. The infinite game isn't about reaching a finish line, it's about inspiring others, adapting to change, and making every step count. Never settle for fleeting victories. Instead, commit to playing the infinite game with passion and conviction. Your cause deserves nothing less. The end.